So we've recently been talking a lot about payment processors and this Australian feminist organization, Collective Shout, going after Steam, trying to enact policies that censor certain material on the platform. And now Japan is seeing what's going on, and they're fighting back against these payment processors. There is an update from just today about that, breaking news, if you will. But what we have here on screen is actually not breaking news. This is a post, a tweet from the legendary politician and legendary mangaka Ken Akamatsu, who you may recall last year, basically 13 months ago, was calling out this exact same thing. We'll read this and then get to the new stuff. He said, "We've received many questions regarding Manga Library Z being asked by an international credit card company to stop distributing works that contain certain words. There have been many notices to ebook stores in the past, but this time I feel that it is the largest one yet. Regarding the policies of these private companies, credit cards, politicians should avoid casually saying on the internet that there's a possibility that it may violate certain laws as it puts pressure on the private sector. However, I think that in the future, this will become a problem for the general regulation of expression in Japanese culture." And wow, has that aged accurately. And he says, so some kind of response will be necessary. This is because, in fact, this time unprecedented strong conditions and strong penalties have been confirmed. And if these are left unchecked, I lost my spot. Okay, there we go. If these are left unchecked, it is expected that they will gradually spread to other expressions. If that happens, it will become a problem not only for the publishing industry, but for the entire Japanese content industry. First of all, we will start by investigating the situation of other stores and compiling information. We apologize for moving slowly compared to international brands, but as this is a serious issue, we will proceed carefully. There, of course, was also a few other occurrences between then and now over the last year or so regarding censorship and payment processors and Japan fighting back against them, but I'm not trying to do a full recap on stuff I've covered regarding this issue over the last year or so. It's just a little bit of context as we move into the current news from today from Yahoo JP. The headline reading, Visa is administratively punished for violating antitrust laws, and the Japan Fair Trade Commission applies the confirmation procedure. On the 22nd, that being today, the Fair Trade Commission applied administrative sanctions and confirmation procedures to Visa worldwide. So being hit with those sanctions. According to the Japan Fair Trade Commission, this is the first time that an international credit card brand has been administratively punished, including Visa, which is the largest in the industry and boasts the largest market share in Japan. They then talk about the prior situation that we briefly aforementioned, hyperlinking to an article about that and saying in 2024, the Japan Fair Trade Commission will conduct an on-site inspections of Visa. This, of course, is a little bit of an error in the auto-translate as that has already happened. They then go on to recap some more stuff, but the main takeaway here is that, yeah, on today, the 22nd, it sounds like Japan's Fair Trade Commission is applying sanctions on Visa. I'm not sure if they're going after any other payment processors. This may just be the start. Back over on Twitter, we can see this being discussed in this tweet with over 3,200 likes already from also today by Ohio My Brother, saying, breaking the Japan Fair Trade Commission has applied administrative measures under the Anti-Monopoly Act, including the commitment procedure to Visa on suspicion of violating the act. And following up by saying today, for the first time in Japan, an administrative penalty was imposed on an international credit card brand. Do you understand what this means? I sincerely hope that from now on, Japan will thoroughly pursue and address all issues related to credit cards. Responses including, hopefully this will snowball and other countries will jump on this too. A first step in fixing the issue. It affected their country first, so it'd be pretty good if they can address it. Based, which is why I like Discover, kind of that underdog that never quite got its footing down. It's time to abolish the corrupt banking system, and we need regulations against our credit card companies also, so much in the US. Oh, but it doesn't end there. Things are continuing to heat up even further as I now present to you Zenko Kurishita, Japanese politician. And just 15 hours ago, Kurishita directly acknowledged his Collective Shout, saying the group Collective Shout, which reportedly put pressure on Steam, is an Australia-based non-profit activist organization that campaigns against the objectification of women and the sexualization of girls. It seems they have a track record of several cancellation cases, beyond Steam. The following is from Grok, so please take it with caution. So it's interesting that Collective Shout is on the radar of politicians in Japan. We're already, as mentioned, seeing repercussions being applied, penalties being applied to payment processors via the Japanese Fair Trade Commission. And we might see further statements coming out from the likes of Kirishita here and Ken Akamatsu and potentially the otaku politician himself as well, that being, of course, Yamada Taro. And it seems like this attention is really the last thing that collective shout would want. They're probably quite afraid of this continuing to blow up and backfire even more, because they seem to already be getting very nervous. Tweet reading from Pirate Nation. Looks like Collective Shout or a follower seeks to close the petition to stop payment processors and activist groups, citing defamation. And so, yeah, it seems like there is a petition going around to, well, as they say, tell MasterCard, Visa, and activist groups stop controlling what we can watch, read, or play. And yeah, it looks like the petition hosted on change.org has received a defamation claim. Someone or some people, maybe an organization, is really desperately trying to get this petition taken down. It seems like the organizer of the petition got this message from change.org, presumably, and it reads, "Hi there. We're writing to let you know that we received a claim alleging that content in your petition update here is defamatory. Change.org is an open platform, and we care deeply about free speech and empowering our users to create the change they want to see. However, when you use change.org, you agree to our terms of service and community guidelines. And this includes agreeing not to defame others. This means you cannot make untrue statements about another person or organization which harm their reputation. In order to allow us to continue hosting your petition update, please provide proof or substantiation of any allegedly defamatory statements within 3 business days of this communication." They go on to make a few disclaimers and ultimately thank the user for using change.org, saying, if you have any questions, let us know. Taking a look at some of the responses to this one, we can see they should just share Collective Shout's tweets and own website as proof it's not defamatory in the slightest. They can't compete in a market free ideas, which is why they always try to silence the opposition. They truly cannot stand any pushback whatsoever, to the point of actively silencing petitions and critical articles. Holy clown show. Visa will be a king. Complaint probably filed by Visa. And yeah, it's just some more BS by them, probably paid to do it. Well, obviously the next thing that we need to do is hop over to change.org and take a look at the petition itself. Let's see what's got Collective Shout so terrified. The issue. MasterCard and Visa are interfering with legal entertainment, often under pressure from advocacy groups like Collective Shout. We demand an end to this censorship of fiction and the right to choose the stories we enjoy without moral policing. Well, seems pretty dang reasonable so far. MasterCard and Visa have increasingly used their financial control to pressure platforms into censoring illegal fictional content. Entire genres of books, games, films, and artwork are being demonetized or deplatformed, not because they're illegal, but because they offend the personal values of executives or activist groups. Yeah, it sounds like we know a few English voice actors and English localizers that would get along great with Collective Shout, but I digress, continuing. This behavior is not just overreach, it's blatant hypocrisy. These same payment processors allowed platforms like OnlyFans to operate with minimal oversight, despite multiple credible reports and lawsuits alleging the presence of real SA content involving real-life minors. That is a criminal failure of responsibility. Yet when it comes to entirely fictional depictions, these same companies act swiftly, shutting down creators, restricting access, and acting as global censors. The pressure to do this is often fueled by advocacy groups like Collective Shout, a feminist organization that routinely campaigns against adult-oriented content, even when it's fictional, legal, and clearly labeled for mature audiences. Let's be clear. Collective Shout does not speak for everyone. Adults are capable of choosing what they want to watch, read, or play. If someone doesn't like a certain type of entertainment, the solution is simple. Walk away. Nobody is forced to engage with content they find offensive, but they have no right to dictate what others are allowed to enjoy, especially when it's within the bounds of the law. Fiction is not reality. Sex sells, and consent, artistic expression, and market freedom must be respected in any healthy, democratic society. We demand that MasterCard, Visa, and their pressure partners, 1. Stop censoring illegal fictional content that complies with the law and platform standards. 2. Reject influence from activist groups that promote moral panic or misrepresent fiction as harm. 3. Be fully transparent about content restrictions and the rationale behind them. 4. Protect creators' rights to make legal adult content and ensure a fair appeals process for any penalized media. Let creators create. Let consumers choose. Payment processors and activist groups should not be cultural gatekeepers in a digital age. Sign this petition to defend free expression, consumer choice, and artistic integrity. Once again, the petition can be found on change.org. Tell MasterCard, Visa, activist groups stop controlling what we can watch, read, or play. assuming it doesn't actually get taken down over that whole defamation nonsense. At least in my opinion, it seems to be nonsense. I don't know what they could possibly be going after here in this petition. Seems pretty accurate and reasonable, at least in my opinion. So yeah, it's not looking good for Collective Shout. This feels like a variant of the Streisand effect. Obviously, it's not like the exact same thing, but you can see kind of like the similarities, right? They're like trying to take things down and censor them. They brag about it, and now it's all backfiring. So I don't know, what's the word for that? Is it like instant karma or something? Let me know what you think in the comments. Hopefully you found my coverage to be entertaining, amusing, and or informative, or something positive. And if you did enjoy my coverage, please consider liking and subscribing. Appreciate you. I'll see you in the comments here and in the next one. Have a great day.